it's Hillary. I hope everyone can see me. Sorry for the slight delay. So I wanted to come on Sundays and call it Sunday Bread with Hillary. If some of you know and some of you don't, how the term bread is synonymous with money. Believe it or not, I kind of just learned that last year. I think it was actually recently too, and it's pretty funny now. So Sunday Bread with Hillary, I just want to come on Sundays, give you like tips, ideas, business tools, and techniques for you. So I thought today, I'm sure everyone's making their goals. When I talked to some of my coaching clients recently, we've talked about like how to make like realistic goals and where do you get these numbers. Like, let's say I want to pay myself $1 million in 2023. Like, is that realistic, and what are the steps to get you there? I always say that you should look at your like previous history to know where you're going. So that being said, if you're not up to date with all like your stats, like your monthly stats, or you don't have an accountant that's giving you monthly reports, that might be where in lies an issue. So doing monthly bookkeeping, looking at your stats, like how many of us look at our stats daily? I literally check my bank accounts daily, at least once a day too, because I like to know everything that's going on to see where I'm going. So for instance, when I looked over the last 2 years of my stats for my chiropractic office, I noticed the trend is what I've always seen, where I'm slower in February, March, and April, and then the year gradually picks up until it explodes at the end of the year. So you need to look and kind of know where your highs and your lows are, because if you say, I'm going to make 100,000 every month, well, what about some of those months that are your slow months? You should think about, well, maybe the slow months I'm going to make 80,000, but then I'm going to make up that 20,000 at the end of the year where I'm going to be making 120. So look at your last couple years and see like what months or quarters are slow, and then you're going to know like, okay, I'm going to be slow during this time, so I'm going to budget for that, but then I'm going to make up for it another few months, and then I'm going to bank some of that money so when I have a lull again for a slow month. Now my chiropractic office doesn't have ups and downs. It's down and it gradually gets better and better and peaks, and then the new year hits and it goes down again. So look at your business and see where are your highs and your lows and your peaks. So you can't just say, well, most of us, maybe you can, but you shouldn't just assume that every month is going to be the same. So if your goal is to make 10,000 a month and you're like, that's my goal, 10,000 a month. Yeah, but you should know if some of those months are going to ever make it that high, or if you need to actually make 8,000 one month and then 10, 11, 12,000 some other months to make up for that. So I think I love setting goals, but like be realistic to what you can perform, because if you're setting an outrageous goal in your slowest month, if I said I'm going to make X amount of money in February, but I know darn well that February is always awful, and the weather plays a big factor in our area, then I'm not going to make my goals as big in February, March, and April. So really look at your history of the past couple years to see. I do think that the 20 and 21 is difficult to look at because of COVID for most of us. I feel like last year should give a good indication. So I just looked at 21 and 22 for my goals and decided what I want to do. And then some of my clients ask, well, how will I know how much to increase my goals? Like, do you just double it every year? I made 10,000 each month last year, so I'm going to make 20,000. No, I mean, unless you're doing something like fabulous that is going to really like double everything, because you can't really work twice as hard, or most of us can't. Like, what are you going to do that you're going to double your business? So for instance, if you are saying, yeah, I'm going to double my business because I brought on all these other staff to help me. Okay, that seems doable. But if it's just you and you haven't done anything to double it, like you've done no more different marketing, advertising, you're just going to keep going the way it's been going, it might be hard to double it. So I'm a bigger fan of like realistic expectations and realistic goals on that. So if I don't know how I'm going to do, I will always fall back to 15% increase. If I think I don't know what my February will do because of the weather and there's so many other factors set aside, I will always go with my lowest 15%. I can increase 15% from the previous year without that much work. But if I want to go more than that, it's like, what else am I going to do to increase it that much? So two ways of looking at it. You could have all your months out, find which ones are your highs and your lows, do 15% above all of those for 2023. Or you could say, have a set point, like I want to make 100K. So you can't just divide that by 12 months because, again, I just don't feel that most of us have equal months. So you could start with that, and then knowing that, like, ooh, I've never made 10,000 in May. Well, don't put that on 2023 because then you'll just be disappointed. Maybe you need to make it different where, like, hey, I always consistently hit 6,000 in May's. I will shoot for 7 or 7,500, but I'm going to make up that remaining amount amongst those other months that are always higher anyway. So you could start with your in number in mind, and then you could go backwards and fill in the months as to what your goals are per month. Or you could look at your trends and go at least 15% above all of those, and then look at that number. Like if you're satisfied with that number, then great, start with that. If you're like, oh, that's not even near the goal that I wanted for that year, well, then you're going to have to start tagging on extra money to the good months, the high months. And then also think to yourself, what are you going to do to make it so big in those months? And then in lies the marketing stuff, right? Which I'll give you some tips for that in upcoming Sundays, Sunday Bread with Hillary. But today I just wanted to put my 2 cents about goals, because I feel like a lot of people make unrealistic goals, or in their mind they're like, yeah, I'm gonna make $1 million. Okay, but do you have everything like set up in place to do that? What are the steps involved? And it's not gonna be the same amount every month. And or are you gonna bring on extra staff to help you get there? Because if you're already working 50, 60 hours a week, it's not realistic that you're gonna work a double time to make double the amount of money, or whatever the case may be. So let's think logistically about that and the numbers. And if you plan out the year and you say, this is not the end goal I want to make more than that. Great. What months are you going to make more? And then the month right before that, what are you going to do to bring in more revenue? Like what marketing type of strategies, what events, what even print marketing, or who are you going to bring on with you to help you hit that goal? So sometimes it's not that you aren't working enough, it's that you just need more hands. And I know that if you're like me and I'm a type A person, I often like to do everything on my own and not ask for help. But I think that as we get older, we realize that we need the help in our lives to help us reach the goals. So whether that's a spouse or friend or family helping in other ways, or you need to hire someone to help you hit those goals. There's only so much you can do, and the goal isn't really to burn out your life. It's to have fun, enjoy life, make money, give back, donate money. So make as much money as you can without, overdoing it, so to speak. So again, look at the months, think realistically, look at past years to see what you have made. I really feel you need to know where you were to where you're going. And like I said, if you don't have monthly bookkeeping and accountant to help send you those reports every month, I get reports emailed to me and it says like this month, and then next to it compares like on the same page the month the prior year. And then also it's like all the profit loss of like all my expenses listed, so then I can see like where maybe I'm overspending on things. And if you're not paying close attention to that, if you're spending all your money on just random things, then you're gonna have to work even harder to get that. So looking at your losses and like what could we shave off of our operating expenses to actually bring in a bigger paycheck for you as the owner, the boss. We can talk about that on another Sunday also, but I'm a big fan of looking at your receipts and your credit card statements and seeing like what could we shave off of that, or what did you purchase that you don't need, or what subscription do you have that you don't use anymore, that type of thing. And that should be done, like, if not monthly, at least every other month. Like, these are just things that you need to do. So make sure you get your profit and loss and your stats from your accountant. Since it's the new the first month of the year, you guys should be getting those this coming week, I would assume. If you're not, follow up with your accountant to get that. If you never get them, maybe it's time for a new accountant. And if you don't have one, reach out to me. I just started a new program, which you guys may have seen, but we are combining business coaching and bookkeeping, along with payroll and taxes. So it's a 12-month. You'll get everything sent to you, and then as your business coach, I will go over them with you and look at everything. Hey Adrian, I just saw you posting comments. I'm sorry, I was in a zone. I wasn't paying attention. Thanks for watching, Adrian. Yep. So back to so it's my husband and I. So if you see me post about BF tax management and resolution, so AJ does all that, and it's a separate business, but we just decided to join forces because it's really common that people don't have their accounting done and their bookkeeping done, and you really need to be watching and monitoring that. I feel like business owners, we work so hard, and to have money just like fly out the door, you don't know where it's going, or you don't know where you're heading, I don't think it's really setting you up for success. So talk to me if you want some more information about that. I hope these were some good tips. If you need more help, reach out to me. Always happy to help. And like I said, I'm going to try to do the Sunday Bread with Hillary on the Sundays at probably around 8, and just little helpful tips. So if you have any questions, comment, and we can address those later. Or if you have anything you want me to talk about, let me know. I do want to save a Sunday to go over some new tax things. So AJ and I will be getting that together, and I can be giving you some tips or maybe some things that have changed. You know how everything changes every year. So it's nice to know what is going on. So have a great new year. It's going to be awesome. Get your goals ready, and then your word of the year. I was thinking about my word for the year. It's usually something about like growth and money and etc. But I was actually thinking, I haven't decided, but I think I'm going to use a word that's similar to selfish, where I want to focus on me and be more, take time for me, and have boundaries and limitations, and do more self-care, self-love. I haven't quite decided yet, but if you guys have any words that you're going to use as your word and goal for the year, let me know. Have a great month, and I will chat with you next week.